Love is a strategy. It's a position. It's a tactic. It's a feeling. It's a force. And balance. There is as much good in the world as there is evil. And the good and the love is subtle. And that is how it persists. And that is how it influences. The thing that is positioned foundationally underneath, the thing that is submissive and meek and humble, wields greater power, is entrusted with greater stewardship, and is capable of greater influence. When Jesus' apostles asked him, who's the greatest? And he said, the least of these will be the ruler, right? The least among you is the greatest. I believe that's what he meant by that, is that the smallest, all it takes is the smallest percentage in the right position. It just takes a little bit of good in a very correct place that can affect miraculous change. And I believe I said on one video that it just, the change of heart is a subtle thing, right? You don't have to go to war to change a heart. And I believe that's still possible today. I believe that if we can understand how to hold the love within ourselves, that more love will be present. And the more love that is present, the greater the influence of that love. I had some encounters today, unexpected. One was pleasant, one was not so pleasant to experience, that is. And I feel like I handled them both relatively well, in a kind of stable manner, in a neutral manner. But it just occurred to me as I was settling down from the more unpleasant experience that it was what could be perceived as an attack. When you're in a good place, you're susceptible to theft. So if you, for example, something good happens to you, the pendulum swings the other way. So how do you work with both energies, or at least work to not lose that which you have gained? Tis the question, yes? How to maintain a state of fulfillment and abiding joy and peace. How? Is it possible? Is it attainable? Is it something I should even aspire to? I'm so small. I'm so small. So I ask that I be placed in the correct position, in the correct place, to bring about the most good. And why would that be anywhere but where I am? I start now. You don't have to wait. Start now. Start now. You never know how the tapestry is weaved by our great Creator. What am I supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to learn now? Why am I here? Those are extremely personal introspections to me. And if they are to me, then I suspect they are to you. As a friend, as a fellow traveler, it's been an interesting transition for me the past 6 months, especially the past 3. I would say since I was at the ashram in November, December, January, yeah. It's been a little less than 3 months, coming up on 3 months that I was there. And there's been an evolution in my personal ego, in my individuation. I've individuated in noticeable ways to me personally. And part of that is what I receive through dreams. It is psychic transmission. It is memories, manifestations, behaviors, thoughts, desires. Things change. Notice a change. So it's been a real soothing process, but at the same time, I am also now being asked to love different parts of myself. And I think if I could put out a positive message today, it would be lead with love. As much as the scenes in the world, what you see, angers you, what you see is ultimately information brought about through light. And we see what the energy is doing. And it's we're not supposed to be okay with it. We're not supposed to be happy about it. It's an opportunity to bring balance. It's an opportunity. And I will tell you that confronting with tension and with this type of energy is only going to make it stronger. The confrontation that should be happening is within yourself to make room for more love. And it has to be as loving of a confrontation as possible. Your self-talk, the way you think about yourself, the way you feel about yourself, what you believe about the world and about yourself. Ultimately, to be able to lead with love is to be an optimist. It's to be hopeful. That is the image that you ultimately want to paint. You want to live long and prosper. You want to have a peaceful life. You want to have a prosperous life. It's true. That's what we desire. You want to be free. You don't want to feel oppressed. And that's true of any relationship, even the one you have with yourself. It does not have to be anyone else's blame, regardless of what you see in the world. Blame is a useless activity. It's useless. What matters is resolve, and the measure of progress is over generations. That's the real measure of progress. And so I think about what a privilege it is to bear a torch of love, of light, of compassion, of tolerance. And just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't mean that we don't have to play out our role. You know, like our role is being called to participate. And, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy because we all have worldly responsibilities. And so to be able to flip our world inside out and not prioritize what's happening on the inside is a very difficult task. But you've already done difficult things. The world we see around us was built through effort and ingenuity and collaboration and persistence. You know, and so just because it's a very difficult thing doesn't mean that there's not already a path that you can step onto, and that the steps are gradual, you know, and then there's help along the way. It's like as if Mount Everest had 100% success rate, 0% death rate, and you were guaranteed to reach the pinnacle unless you threw yourself off or turned back or gave up. Just as long as you wake up and one day remember, yes, that is something that I want, doesn't matter how far you've deviated, there's help to come back to your path. And it's your path. It doesn't have to be someone else's prescribed path. It doesn't. You know, that's your freedom. That's your freedom. That's how I've experienced it. Is that there's a lot of help, a lot of borrowing. It's like music. It's like the music industry. You know, there's only so many notes to be played. There is a system and there is theory, and you can get really creative and almost infinite combinations of rhythms and sounds and synchronizations and combinations and arrangements. It'll never cease to be so many voices, so many expressions, so many tempos. You know, and I look at the spiritual path the same way. Is there's so much good. There's so much good. And I believe that spirit is available to us. All the spirits that have gone before us exist among us, exist around us. And asking, you know, invoking those spirits, invoking that energy, bringing yourself to a state of humility and of surrender, to believe that you are worthy. You know, it might take work just to get to a point. In fact, I know it takes work to just get to a point where you believe and you understand that you are worthy. It's like, in the way many of us have been raised, it's almost a radical thing to believe that I am worthy of God's perfect love. And it doesn't have to be a religious God. It can be the field. I think of God a lot of times as the field. You know, I like to think in very metaphysical terms as well. Like, it helps me lock in. I understand it in a very practical sense. Okay, you know, when I sit down and meditate, or when I'm outside looking up at the stars at night, just being part of the field. And there is no me when there's communion with the field. And it just, I feel infused with the worthiness. And at the same time, you know, I'm brought to, you know, many sober thoughts about ways I can be more vigilant and protective of my mind and my body and my spirit and my emotions, to care for myself, to let me get the music here in my ears to a more suitable vibration. All right. We got it lined up. Yeah. I guess I'll do 15 minutes. We'll do a quick read. Okay, I like how it is here. I'm going to do a little... I mean, I won't say quick, but let me do something. Betrayal energy is sacred energy. I'll tell you that. Not everyone has the fortune or the strength to endure betrayal. We have a lot of strong, some like very resilient energy here. Triumphant, successful. Your persistence pays off. And I'll say like from rags to riches, but we're talking energetically here. And it's not always to inflate your ego. You know, you can very easily. There are mountains out there that nobody even thinks about. Nobody lays eyes on, but they're mountains. You know, you would think that every mountain in its majesty deserves to be seen, but there are mountains out there that are not seen. There are, you know, planets and stars that burn bright that are not seen. In fact, you may be someone who prefers that, is to ride off into the sunset and live on a farm and have your porch swing and, you know, have the conveniences still, but have the solace and the refuge of privacy and solitude. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but there's definitely companionship here as well. And it may very well be the companionship with you and divine and God and the masters and the ancestors. There's companionship. There's strength. This is not a pity party. It's not a sob story. It's a display of God's planning and God's mercy. You are an example. God's making an example out of you, and you know, yeah, and you are operating in a state where you can really alchemize betrayal energy, and it is fulfilling for you to function as this scapegoat, as this black sheep, if you will, as the world might label, or try to kind of victim blame in a sense. But you have learned to wear this, if it were a black shroud, you have turned it inside out, and it's a coat of many colors. And there's a sense of pride, there's a sense of accomplishment, there's a sense of merit. Hard fought, deserved. It's wonderful. And not forgetting where you came from, not forgetting what it took. Holding in reverence those times when you were without. Sacred time. A time of true communion in such a place as today's world, today's civilized world. There is a way, and I don't know why the way my life played out the way it did. I don't know why. But I think about it this way. My job is to bring myself to a state of usefulness to God, and to secure my joy and my peace for the day. That's my job. And I'm an apprentice right now. I'm learning with love. It takes time, especially if you're going to try to be you while doing it, right? It's one thing to go live in a monastery. It truly is. It is one thing, because it is an environment tailor-made to wipe you of your ego. Doing it outside of that setting, it is an environment tailor-made to reinforce your ego. And so it really is work. And to be able to prioritize that is not easy. It takes time to even get in a situation, to create the situation and the environment where you can thrive. And you owe it to yourself to continue to persist in that. And God is making an example out of you because you are persisting in that. Because you have found the way. You have found the way. And the way is a way of honor. Honor, communion, prosperity, victory, justice and mercy, of love. What happens is an example of what happens when you choose love. What God is capable of. Choosing love and actually doing the work, as in your job, doing the work to embody that, to receive that love, and then to share it is its own reward, right? But even then, the laws are such that you will be blessed abundantly for it. That's just the law. That's just how it is. And it's not up to you to decide when or how. It's just not even of concern, really. It's evidence for the world to see. So that maybe folks might come unto you or gravitate to you so that they can receive more nourishment, maybe receive some knowledge or some wisdom, some healing, some effect, right? Some understanding, some direction, some orientation, some compassion. That's what it is. So remember, when something happens to help you feel good, and then something happens to maybe throw that off center. It's really just a combination. It's really a collaboration of forces. We take the labels off. We don't spend time blaming. We just go inward and express gratitude for life and for the gift of those two alchemical forces. And we let go of any belief of what it means. And we allow it to be. And we balance it. And we forgive. And this is the process within. We put ourselves in our place. We play our role. And that imbues us with a force of influence, of a loving influence, that when we can go underneath and take the low road like water, can flow as water would flow underneath, then we have greater influence to carve into the heart of a man or a woman or of any being. When we live from the heart, when we live from love, and we are in light, and we express our truth. I would apologize for the noise, but right on cue, so there's no more background noise. But I felt like it should be part of the reading. Maybe that's why, because there's a synchronicity there, and that's been part of my journey the past few months, is very heavy, very explicit synchronicity, and almost immediate synchronicity. So it's been interesting, it's been entertaining, it's been validating, it's been comforting, and I hope you receive the same through this message.